Firstly, Stuart Hogg, welcome to TNT Sports.
Thank you very much, Hughes.
How does that sound?
Exciting, very exciting. I think I've known for a little while and had to keep my mouth pretty closed for a while, but I'm absolutely buzzing. Like it's hugely refreshing. The start of the next career, the transition phase, but very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. Of all the things you could have done, because I'm sure the moment that people found out that you were retiring, I'm sure there was contracts sent left, right and centre towards you, whether it's coaching or anything and everything that rugby offers. Why media?
As I say, it's something that excites me. I could sit and talk rugby all day. It makes you sound like a right geek.
Right.
But yeah, look, I remember a few years ago doing an interview and I said that I wasn't shy to say that I was obsessed with rugby and always wanted to stay involved. But the older you get and the more time you spend at training and you get a real understanding for what the coaches go through, you're like, well, we think we've got it tough as players. And then you see the coaches now, it's like, yeah, that's not for me. But I wanted to stay involved in the game and I saw media as the perfect opportunity and an exciting challenge. I'm very much looking forward to it. You know, you still get to go to all these stadiums that you were involved in as a player, but you know, getting battered and bruised, and you get to talk about it. So a lot of people say I've got a face for the radio, but it's amazing what you can do in hair and makeup. And yeah, as I say, I'm hugely looking forward to it.
The way I see it is, but you've moved on, but not that far away, because you'll be pitch side, seeing all teammates, all the players you played with and against every single week, and still getting that buzz. I think it's the next best thing to playing, and it's brilliant.
That's the bit that I'm looking forward to, because, as I say, it was the 80 minutes of rugby that I absolutely loved at a weekend. Like all the training stuff that goes before it, you're like, oh, it's raining, how's the back feeling today, type thing, you know what I mean? Like outside backs, we're all the exact same. So it was.
It's not just me, then.
Yeah, mate, it's refreshing to hear it's not just me. But yeah, no, like as I say, they going to the different grounds, getting all the buzz of the crowd. That's the bit that I loved, and to still have that without doing all the training is the bit that really excites me. Yeah.
How do you think you're going to be able to deal with all the different emotions of it? Because you're not long out of a dressing room, and you're going to have to be there. Pitch side, it's easy to compliment players when they're going well, but there might be a time where you might not be so complimentary about players that you've known the majority of your life.
Yeah, I think what is refreshing for me is not giving your bog standard reply when you're interviewed, because you know, the amount of times you go into doing a little bit of media as a player, you've got your media manager standing before you going, right, you got to say this, you got to say that, and you got to say this. And I'm like, well, right, okay. So you go in, you know exactly what you're saying. Credit to the opposition, you know, our boys, fair play, and all that kind of thing. So, look, I'm, as I say, I will always be one of them that'll kind of say it how it is. But like, I love when you see a little bit of skill. Like there's been times I've been playing against boys and I've seen an opposition player do a little bit of skill and I'm going, bloody hell, fair play. And there's been times that I've been playing against, you know, I remember playing against Cam Redpath and Adam Hastings, and Adam was doing dropouts towards me every single time when we played Gloucester the other year, and one of them you could see he just hit it far too hard and it came right towards me. It was a bit of a duff kick, and I kicked it down, I put it in the touch, and as I was running back I said, Adam, just slow down your kick. And I wish I never said that, because his next kick-off is an absolute beauty and I got killed. But like, it's like I love this kind of thing. Like as I say, like I can't sit here and say like I'm going to be this type of pundit or this type of pundit, because I generally don't know what I'm going to be. But that's when I see it as a challenge, and I'm like, right, well, I'm going to say it how it is. Like if someone's good, I'm going to, you know, fair play. But if someone's not so good, I'm not going to criticise somebody. I'm going to, you know, almost say it from a coaching point of view, like, how could you have done this a little bit better, or what do you think his thinking was behind this? Because, as you say, you're fresh out the game, you've still got a huge understanding of what's going on. But as I say, this is the thing that I'm going to have to get to grips with. I'm going to learn on the job, and what better way to learn than actually just doing it.
Yeah, absolutely that. But to get to this point, you had to make a pretty difficult decision in announcing your retirement. It wasn't just the retirement, but the timing of it. We're weeks away from a Rugby World Cup. How did you come to making that decision?
Oh mate, it was horrible, a horrible few weeks, because I remember getting to probably this point last year, and I was going, I'm absolutely buggered. Like, I feel that I'm emotionally and physically drained with the game. And the exciting thing for me was I was getting my knee operated on. It gave me a time away from the game, a chance to work on other areas, you know, whether that be, you know, upper body bulk or, you know, fitness or anything. I mean, I came back, I just couldn't get going again. I couldn't get going, and I was, my body dictates my mood. And if my body's feeling rubbish, then my whole mood is the exact same. And I used to get stick towards the latter stages of my career of being out the changing room as quick as I possibly could. And that was purely because my mood was affecting everything. That my body was affecting my mood, and my mood affected everything. And I got to the stage, I don't want to drag my teammates down because I'm feeling like I am. I was like, right, do what I have to do, get out of the place. And then when I sat down with Jill, my parents, the rest of the family, my agency, I said, enough's enough. I said, I've had enough of feeling this way. I don't feel I'm getting to the standards that I try and maintain day in, day out. And I thought, let's stockpile my head, because I don't want to ruin everything that I've done over the past kind of 13, 14 years. So now, when I announced my retirement, and then I thought, right, we'll do it post-World Cup.
Because that was the initial.
That was the initial plan, was to go post-World Cup, because I'd have a little break, and then, you know, we'd move back home, we'd get everything sorted, and then I'd kick on my pre-season with Scotland and give it one last, you know, kick at the ball. And it was the exact same feeling. Like, I was getting in pre-season, and I just felt I was miles off the pace. Like, going through the speed gates, and all, that's not all the be-all and end-all, but I was the slowest back. And I was like, well, I've never been that before. And I was in agony, the hard pitches, the double sessions. And I just got to the point, like, I was knackered, physically, emotionally. And we had a little holiday time off, and I came back here and said to Jill, I said, I can't do it anymore. I generally can't do it anymore. And like,
what's that like as a realisation?
It's horrible, absolutely horrible, because, you know, I was 30 years old when I said, right, that's it, I'm done. And I was like, it's far too young to be retiring, but age, they always say, is a number, and you know, fair play to all these boys that go on and play till they're 35, 36, but I physically couldn't. And when you're not hitting the standards that I try and set of myself, and it's not as if, well, there were high standards, but it comes a realisation sometimes you have to drop them ever so slightly to try and achieve them. And as I say, like, I was going to training, I was training the hardest I possibly could, and then struggling to get moving the next day. Like, it was almost like, swing your legs out of bed, how's my knees feeling? And I just felt that this is unhealthy, and just decided to say that's it. And, you know, I sat out here day after day, just thinking to myself, speaking to loads of different people. The amount of times that I broke down in tears because I thought, right, I have to keep going, and the realisation that I couldn't. And yeah, I thought, that's it, I'm done. And as soon as I made the call, I just felt I went from this to this, and I was a completely different person. And yes, it's heartbreaking to stop and to realise that that's it, done, but I'd rather stop now when I'm happy than go to a World Cup and not feel like myself and not achieve the standards I want that I set myself, and not enjoy it, because the love of the game was gone, and as soon as that's gone, it is very, very difficult to get it back as a player.
Because that's the bit people perhaps don't appreciate as much. It's a true blessing, it's a real privilege to do what you used to do, what we both used to do, but at some point the toll really starts to take its toll on you, doesn't it? And when you're in that circle of actually just not enjoying or appreciating it, and affect your mood and family, then it's really challenging. The conversation you'd have had to have had with Gregor Townsend when you were in the middle of the World Cup, it was just last year, you're Scotland captain, he'd have seen you as a big fixture as part of the side. How do you approach that conversation, and what did you say?
I think that was the thing I probably struggled with most, because my biggest thing was I didn't want to feel like I was letting anybody down. But at the end of the day, like, you got to be selfish to be selfless, and that's something I've always gone by. And I was bricking it to phone Gregor, to be honest, because I felt like he went through the selection process of involving me in the wider squad, and there had been big conversations about it. And you know, from this time last year, I was still Scotland captain, and I just felt after that, like, I almost felt when I went into the autumn campaign, I said to Gregor, look, from a leadership point of view, I don't want to be involved in anything, because I want to go in there and purely concentrate on myself and make sure I get myself right, because I want to be the best player. You told me that I'm one of the best players in the team, but just let me be that. And that's all I concentrated on. And then I went into the Six Nations and I just felt completely lost, because I'd been in the leadership group for the best part of 8 years, and I just felt I had nothing there anymore. I just felt completely lost. And then going into the first block of pre-season, I just felt like there was nothing really, like, I'd been around with all the older boys like Sir Greg Laidlaw and Ross Ford and Sean Lamont and stuff, and you know, boys that were no longer there, but that everybody was there for the last World Cup. And then going to this World Cup, I just felt like I was old before my time. Like, there was nothing really there that excited me.
But how does a player captain his country, got 100 caps, one of the most decorated players, one of the greatest players that Scotland have ever produced, how do you get to a place where you're stepping into camp and feeling lost?
I don't know, mate, but it happened just like that. What it felt like was just like that, and I felt like it was really, really tough, mate, because, as you say, you went from being captain to being a normal player. And I say a normal player, for somebody that's had a leadership role for that long to then have nothing, I just felt like, wow, this is a bit strange. And then I explained everything like this to Greg, and I just felt like, almost like I didn't belong in that camp any longer, which was mental.
That's bonkers.
It is, but this is like, and the more and more you think about things, like, I've sat here, as I say, I sat here in tears, and I was like, well, is this me being silly, or is this me being, you know, a bit overreactive, or is it the reality? And I just felt like, when I was there, and we'd stay 2 nights a week, the first thing I would do when I get back for training was I'd do my recovery, and I'd sit in my room. And then the day after, when it was finished, you know, your recovery, you get to go home. I was first out the door every time, because I didn't want to sit in traffic. I just wanted to get home to Jill and the kids and be in a place where I felt comfortable. Having that conversation with Gregor, saying that I was completely done, was incredibly tough. I remember I'd done it just literally 5 yards behind you, and I spoke to him, and I explained all the reasons behind it. And the best thing about the conversation with Gregor was that not once did he try and change my mind. He was really happy for me, because all he cared about was me as a person, which I felt a sense of love coming from there, and I was like, this is lovely. Like, I was like expecting to get to be, no, you need to come back, you need to do this, that and other, whereas he was concentrating on me as a person, which I loved, and he couldn't have been any better. And he said, look, the door's always open whenever you want to come back and you want to watch and you want to catch up with us, or you want to get an involvement in any way. He said, the door's always open, which I was like, well, it's probably a little bit too soon to jump back in and see how everything's going, but I've gone from being a player to the #1 supporter in a matter of minutes, and I'm genuinely really quite excited to see how good the boys can be at the World Cup, because as much as I'd love to be there, I'm excited to watch, and I'm excited to see how they go. It will be strange, it will be different, but I've made this call to retire because I want what's best for me, I want what's best for my family, and I believe I made the right decision.
Your rise to success with Scotland happened overnight, super quick, and it's amazing. Whenever someone announced their retirement, all these videos and highlight reels, and you have so many. We'll talk about all the great moments that you had for Scotland, Glasgow, as well as Exeter and the British and Irish Lions. But it feels as if your entry into the game at international level happened so quick, but also your exit happened equally as fast. And from feeling a certain way to having a conversation, and whilst I totally get the emotions of it, and sometimes your actions are led by your heart rather than your body and your mind, but there'll be a lot of people who are listening to this and watching this going, you're Stuart Hogg, you're a Test Centurion, you're a British and Irish Lion. What is the essence of the reason as to why you felt as if you couldn't continue beyond your body just not being able to do everything that you say it couldn't do?
I got to the stage in my rugby career that I was missing out on my kids growing up, and you know, we'd only be away a couple of times, a couple of nights a week and stuff. But when my son actually was 7, and he turns up to me, and I come home from training, and he's like, "Dad, do you want to go outside and play football?" And I'm like, "Mate, I can't. I genuinely can't. Like, I'm absolutely beat." And his little face, and he's out in the rain, he absolutely loves it. He loves playing football, loves playing all the different types of sports. And I'm like, "Mate, I can't." And I sit there and I watch him, and he's on his own, and I'm like, "This is breaking me. This is absolutely breaking me." And I'm like, "No, I'm not continuing to do what I do because I want to be there for the kids." There were 3 kids now, 1 on the way. You know, if I was to go to the World Cup, it's peak timing for Jill, who struggles with her blood pressure at the best of times. It's unfair, and I'd love to have continued to be able to play and done X, Y, and Z and played till I was 35. But as soon as the love of the game's gone, it has an impact on your body, and ultimately you can't be there for your family. I pick up my kit bag most days, and my daughter would be like, "How long are you away for?" I was like, I'll be there for the school pickup, love. Or, you know, you're coming back and you'd go on an away game and you get in the bus back and you'd be like, "Well, I'll be there for you in the morning when you wake up," and stuff. And sometimes, like, it's almost like when I said earlier, letting people down. Like, I don't want my kids to ask when I'm going to be home. And yeah, I just got to the point, I was like, I want to be there for them all the time. And another thing that really excited me was the fact that I'd done rugby for so long. I was ready for the next phase, and I was excited about the next phase, and it was like, right, well, why wait? Why wait, and why be in a position to continue doing something that I'm not enjoying just because I'm getting paid for it? And I was like, I want to be there for Jill, I want to be there for the kids, I want to be there for the family, I want to move home and see everything that I've not seen for 14 years. I was ready. I was completely ready, and honestly, it's the best decision I've made because I feel like I'm a completely different person. Yes, it will be different when the games are starting and you're like, right, I want to be there. Or, you know, I openly said I never want to touch a rugby ball again. But mate, I watched you at the doing the drop goal for the touchline and then dropping the mic and that. I was like, well, I want to do that. That's a bit that I was like, I want to do that.
You'll
like,
still be able to do that.
Yeah, but I was like, I'll be the one that slips on my backside. And, you know, you're slotting for the touchline and walking off. I'm slipping on my backside and going, oh well, maybe I shouldn't do that. But as I say, I was ready for it, and like I'm always one for challenging myself and getting the best out of myself. And I just felt that it was time. And the good old saying goes, when you know, you know, and I knew, and I'm at ease with it. Yes, I'll, you know, potentially miss out in Scotland doing incredibly well at World Cup, but that would be, I'd be there for the wrong reasons. I'd be there to play a game, but you know, I think I played, 60 minutes was the longest I played in the Six Nations. I think the majority of the games in the past season I either didn't start or I was taken off because I couldn't last 80 minutes, and I was like, well, I don't want to be like that. I want to be somebody that plays all the time, and when you can't, I it's frustrating, it's difficult, it's annoying, but yeah, will you have to try and hold me back when I'm on the sideline potentially? But look, I'm excited for what lies ahead, and ready to get my teeth stuck into it.
Yeah.
Albeit they're not mine.
You've got an opportunity to reroute all of that passion, which is amazing. It's another famous Scotsman that said, Sir Alex Ferguson said, "You're better off retiring a year early than a year late."
Yeah.
And I think he's absolutely spot on.
100%.
Absolutely spot on with it. But we're delighted to have you.
I can't wait, mate.
We're
You're going to be sick of me soon, but
no, absolutely not. But yeah, well, I think we need to get that drop goal challenge done and dusted in the first few weeks.
Just let me get a half-hour warm up with the knees, mate.
That's what I need, and the warm down and everything after it.